Okay, so I wanted to talk today about the kind of the marriage of content and technology and how we believe, and I believe, that content and technology together can combine to create powerful audience engagement experiences for you, But first, a little bit about us. You probably know who Hearst are. We've got a load of fantastic brands, and we're a global media organization. I think, though, the most important thing for us is we have such a breadth of talent and content, such a breadth of audience, and a fantastic relationship with those people. The innovation needs to touch every part of our business. We need to innovate in our content development. We need to innovate in our growth of audience, in our advertising propositions, and in technology that powers our content platforms and our data capabilities. And we reach a lot of people. We reach 1 in 3 UK women, 1 in 4 UK adults, 1 in 4 men. So we've got a huge audience of people who engage with us and who trust our content and who love what we do. We've got to keep that going in a changing world and a changing environment. So for us, it's absolutely critical that we marry with our technology and our content. I think our industry's always used technology well. I think it's used technology to become more efficient, to become better at what we do. But it's only really in the last decade or two that we've really seen the disruption that technology can make happen in our industry. And we have to remember what we do best. And I think it was interesting to hear in the last presentation talking about magazine brands creating great content and that being core to what they do. That's the thing that we have to remember at all times whenever we're doing anything that we do. Because that's our heritage. When we started, the technology wasn't there to distribute the content the way that it is now. Editors understood their audience, used what they knew and their editorial excellence to create this serendipitous world where pieces of content would be put together, where you didn't even realize that you would care about these 2 pieces of content, but they would really inspire you and engage you. They knew, but there was this scarcity of content as well. It's hard to get hold of content. And then there wasn't the data available to those editors to confirm or deny the things they believed. And then rose the reader panel that we all know and love, I'm sure. And now we know where we are. We're in a place where content is ubiquitous. You can find it anywhere, on any device, in any place. Where the feedback loop is enormously quick and so powerful, it can become a little overwhelming. And so we believe, you've got to keep it simple in that world. But we still know our audience, and we still know that the serendipity that we create by putting content together is really critical. So again, we talk about our content and our technology working closely together. And our content suits the free web. It can be difficult to create a paid-for environment on the web. That's not the place that we're at the moment. We're a free web organization. What that means that we are playing in a pool with a bunch of people who are trying to get your time for free. And that's really tough. And those companies are investing heavily in technology, but they're also investing heavily in content, which is great news for us because content is obviously important for them. And for us, what that means as well is that advertising is utterly critical to us. Everything we do needs to be paid for, frankly. So we need great advertising around our content to enable us to make the money we need to continue and to survive. But we also know that bad advertising equals a poor experience, which means unhappy customers. And they vote with their hands. They click away, or even worse, they download an ad blocker and continue. We won't talk about ad blockers anymore because it's a bit like millennials and snackable content. I'm done with it. It's not a conversation I want to have. So what do we do about that? Well, at Hearst, we leverage technology. We have global reach, and so we can build things globally. We work together closely to build ecosystems with technology and with great content people that really work. And these things, we recognize the value of creative and technology working together. We don't just sit technologists in a corner and sit creative editors in another corner and stop them from speaking to each other. We bring them together, we mash them up, we create something together. We recognize the value of creation, of creativity and technology being together. It's really important. I think we're a tech media company now. We integrate content creation with data. It's really important to us because it helps for us. We invest heavily in analytics And we invest also in our creative experience, because as our users move further and further towards mobile, we need to create something that works for them and engages them. And that's not just snackable content, again. And we need to understand our future marketplace, because now it's about mobile, and it's about video, and it's about Snapchat. What the hell is it about next? Who knows? So again, we talk about this union of technology and creative in a beautiful Venn. I'm not sure the colours work with that background, but hey, who am I to judge? It's about technology and creative. I can't keep saying this enough, because our technology is great and drives great things, but we always need to make our content the difference. That's what drives people to us, the trust in our content, the delight that they get from it. And we've invested heavily in technology within Hearst, across our global organisation, not just in magazines, not just in newspapers, not just in TV and radio. We've invested across our entire corporate technology. And what does that mean to us? And it means we can prove what works for our audiences and for our advertisers. It means we can share things with each other with the click of a button, quicker than ever before. It means we can get content to people quicker than we've ever been able to before. And we can test our content in near real time. I would put real time, but I'd be lying. It's near real time. And then we can ignite that content consistently. We can get people to it. We can drive it to the right places, make people see it, and then help them to find the delight in our content that we know is there. That's really important for us. We can tell compelling stories with our partners in a way that reaches people and really engages with them. So I guess I'd like to talk a bit more in detail about those key areas where creative and technology work together for Hearst, and show some successes and some reasons why we believe that's so important. The first one is around content testing. We've been, in this industry, we've talked about multivariate and A/B testing for years, and there are so many products that enable that kind of capability. But we at Hearst wanted something that fit into our ecosystem, something that was available to our editors, something that allows us to really understand what content works in our environment, in a known space, and something that our editors can use comfortably without fear of breaking something or without worrying about what it means to their audience. So we've invested heavily to create content testing capabilities. And now we can understand what's clicky, what's sticky. I'm not sure I like those phrases, but hey, that's what we use. So, an example would be we've tested this piece of content and we've tried 4 different ways of pushing the headline out. We can test headlines, we can test images, and we can understand what works. And this isn't really complex technical tool sets that can only be used by UX designers and front-end developers. This is in front of the editor in their content management system right now. They just go in, they look at a piece of content, they try and work out what works. And once they've worked out what works, the content platform will switch over to the content that works the best, and they can start to play around with new ideas. And this stuff is used constantly. This is actually a live content testing environment, or at least it was 10 minutes ago when I pasted it into the slide deck. So it's really something that we use heavily. And what's great about our sites is, in most of our sites, with the level of content and level of audiences that we have, within 15 minutes we can get what our analysts call statistically relevant responses, which means as far as their algorithms are concerned, this is as relevant as it can get. We know that in this case, the 4th headline, 10 things you never knew about your pharmacist, was the most clicky article. That meant that it really worked, it really got people to go to it. That's what we're going to use online, isn't it? That's what we're going to use in social, and it's going to help us to drive more people to the content. We don't just look at clicky though, we're not about clickbait, we look at sticky. We look about the amount of time they dwell and the distance they go through the article. So we're really careful to make sure that we're not just creating some clickbait article, and we're creating something that people are really interested in. Content testing is massive for us now, and it's going to be a real core part of everything we do. Another tool in our armory is what we call buzzing. This leverages the global power of Hearst at its best. This enables any editor in our organization to go into their content platform. Again, it's within the content system. It's the same place that they're writing content and they're creating things, and understand exactly what's working across the entire Hearst network, across magazines, across pure plays, across newspapers, across TV. And the algorithms that have been written to create the decisions around what is buzzing or not are way beyond me. But in essence, we're looking at the trend in terms of page views of an article against what we would expect for that type of article on that site. So it's not the biggest site being the biggest score. This is the biggest site being measured against itself to create a feel. So in this case, the lovely Digital Spy, one of our local propositions, has got a fantastic home and away spoiler. Now, the good news about this product is that once an editor sees this, if they think, you know what, that content's going to work for me as well. I've got a different audience to them, but you know, this is great content. I really want some of this. They can click a button and syndicate that content. It'll be tagged appropriately, all the images will be in there, the same content platform globally, and it just pulls the content in with all the images. The bad news is home and away is probably not going to work across the US, but you know, it's not a bad thing. Maybe they can go for the film short around the disabled puppy. All those kind of things work. But this is fabulous for us. You know, this enables us to get our great content to more people. This enables us to get our fantastic writers to engage with far bigger audiences than they could do on their titles. And we see this happening constantly. This kind of syndication of really high quality, well-received content means that we can create so much more content and we can drive audiences in a way that we feel is really valuable to our business. So, you know, a great blend. We've got fantastic editorial resources across the globe. We've got technology that enables all of them to see what's going on and to see what works for each other. They can choose to pick this into a different country, rewrite it, translate it, drive it socially, and it works perfectly for us. And I think one of the great examples of how we've married technology and creativity together in Hearst. And then we move on to video, because video is incredibly important now, yeah? It's the most important space for us right now in terms of content creation. But it's hard to get into video, you know? If you've not got a well thought out strategy around video and you start to drop video people into your team, what are you going to do? How are you going to create content? And you can check YouTube and you can see what's working there, and you can start dropping cat videos into your content and it'll work. But you know, what we've been able to do is create a video platform for Hearst in a similar kind of vein to buzzing, but again enables us to share video across all of our entities. Another example where we're using our technology to work. But not only can we share this, this is allowing us to leverage global relationships with third-party add-ons to increase the amount of content that people see. So, you know, once you're plugged into Video Gopher as part of Hearst, you're plugged into the entire Hearst commercial video ecosystem. I can click a button again, it's always good just to click a button, and I can push this onto my content platform. And it will resize properly for all devices. It will include any commercial deals we have from a content perspective, and it will drive this video well. And again, it's a great example of using the power of Hearst. We have some areas of our business that are far more advanced in their video strategies, and we can learn from them and really drive a future where we can understand what works for our audience and start to drive our own video strategy, upload all of our content into Gopher, and then everyone else can benefit from it. Creates this lovely sharing environment where we all benefit from the things that we all do within Hearst. And then we look at commercializing all of this, because it's great to have all this content. We have this wonderful audience. Everyone's enjoying what they're reading, but we need to make money. And so we've created an ecosystem, probably an ethos actually, around advertising for Hearst in the UK. Well, globally actually, and we call it Shared Spaces. And this for us is a premium digital advertising product now. And it's designed to put brands into the spaces that they've never really been in before. It's not about an ad slot adjunct to a piece of content that just doesn't work. It's about us making sure and managing that entire ecosystem to make sure that when advertising sits in front of users, it's exactly what they expect to see and it really fits their experience. So this is actually our ethos. It enables clients to get their product into our editorial space. It ensures that when a reader's reading, they understand that they're seeing commercial propositions, but they're actually engaging in the content. And I thought I'd share a couple of examples of why we know this works and how it works. So, Netflix and Jessica Jones. We have a really good relationship with Netflix now. This started with Narcos back in 2015. And so they come to us a lot with briefs, with ideas about what they're trying to do. And with this one, it was a bit different. Jessica Jones, superhero, but actually trying to target a more female audience. Well, what better place to come than Hearst, 1 in 3 women in the UK? And what better brand to work with than Cosmopolitan? So the brief was to create a campaign that really helped women to understand the strength of this character and just how much fun this is going to be, and to really do it in a way that works with Cosmo, in a way that people really kind of engage with and really enjoy. We could have created a bunch of advertising around our products. We could have, reached those many millions of people that we reach on Cosmopolitan in the way that we normally do, but we needed to do something different. We wanted to talk to our audience in a grounded, in a friendly, and in a kind of a reasonable way that they would understand, and really help to understand and help Netflix to drive this product as a kind of as a female-friendly superhero in a world where they felt it was generally a male audience area. So how we executed this? Well, we created a campaign around advertising, our content, their content, and a bunch of really hardcore creative products that drove audiences like I frankly have never seen before. We drive this via social media. We're bringing people along. We have premium on-site editorial placements. We've got non-served products across our site that are very creative and allow you to see snippets. We put this on Snapchat. We had a 10-day Snapchat takeover where we were advertising this on Snapchat and driving something like 2 million Snapchat video views of their content. So this is a really engaged campaign. And you know what? Did it work? Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Our top performing article, 7 minutes, 11 seconds dwell time. This is a piece of content that we've worked on with Netflix. And around that is a bunch of advertising that they've created that really works and resonates with their content. We delivered 181% delivery against KPIs. That's great. Engagements of around 7,000 people on Facebook. And that's active engagements, not just seeing this, but actively engaging with the content and with the articles. We created a quiz that took a long time to fill out, and 84% of people filled it in. I think the average was around 6.5 minutes. So this is not something that was flippantly touched for a minute or two. This is something that was created really, really well. And this was technology that's been built and can be used across all of our sites. So it's something that we feel has really given us an edge, and we've worked very closely with our commercial teams and our editorial teams to create this technology capability that means that they can serve really compelling commercial campaigns. And we don't just do this in Cosmo with Netflix. We do this in Elle for Swarovski around FIPP, which was a kind of a mini festival, an event that we ran with Elle and Swarovski as well. So the last thing from me, because technology and content doesn't just have to be about digital. And I think that's really important. We spend a huge amount of time focusing on our digital ecosystem because we believe that is a future direction for our business. But we still have an incredibly successful print magazine business. A print magazine business that's doing so well in the UK that we're seeing some titles have an uplift in circulation. And in this day and age, that can't be sniffed at. And so we use our technology to really drive great commercial products across our print ecosystem as well. And this is about data. In a world where people are always talking about big data, we did something with little data and a little watch book. This was an idea that we came up with Audemars Piguet. And we know that the Esquire audience, the Esquire print readership, are great watch fans. We know watch content does very well online and in magazine. And we create a big watch book on a 6-monthly basis, which talks about the great watches that are coming out. But we wanted to do something a bit more bespoke. And Audemars really wanted to reach a new audience, to really get themselves out there, to help people understand why they were a great brand for them to choose for what is a significant investment. So we looked at it and we thought about big data, and then we thought about small data, and we decided on something that was a really highly targeted data-driven project with our editorial teams. So we got our data teams and our editorial teams together, and we worked out how we could reach the right level of reader and provide them with something truly bespoke. We created a bespoke magazine, which was premium paper, which was personalized with names for 1,000 individuals. And we created that list of individuals using our data team to understand who were the real influencers, who were the Esquire readers who were real influencers in this space. Fantastic piece of work from the data team to pull around 1,000 people to really work this out and create a high impact proposition. And it can be really difficult when you're creating this kind of print proposition to build data around it so that you can feed back in a campaign to a company. But we did a great job of it, I think. And we used surveys and we used our known data to really come up with a group that we thought were the right people to receive this product. And incidentally, Audemars sold 2 watches off the back of it, which may not sound like a lot, but if you know how much an Audemars watch costs, you'll appreciate that that is a significant return on their investment. So we're incredibly pleased. This was about exposure. It wasn't just about buying watches, but we managed to get 2 people over the line. So we sent this out to 1,000 people. We made it available to 1,000 more, but unpersonalized. 99% of people read this book. And when we ran our surveys afterwards, we found 73% more favorable towards this brand. It's a great turnaround for those guys. This 1,000-person group managed to reach 6,000 more people on top of their themselves through social media. And when we say reach, we mean actively communicate with them. And then they came and looked at our watch content online, which supplemented the book. You know, 1 out of 3 visited a store afterwards to look at the range, which is fantastic. And 73% of them shared this product. So, you know, people do share in the print world. It does happen, and we prove that. But more importantly, 1 out of 3 going into a store to look at a watch on the basis of a product, we got to the right people. We used our data effectively. We knew we had the right people there. 2 people bought. Not too shabby. I'm sure dozens of them have bought some since then, but you know, 2 people buying in the first month is pretty special. So, in summary, I think I've said it all. We believe that technology and content absolutely have to be in harmony for a media company to work. We know that our content is what really matters. It's what differentiates ourselves from the free web, from the rest of the free web. And we know that we have an audience that trusts us, that really enjoys our content. We have the data that proves it. And we prove what works as well. With our testing, with our buzzing tools, we know what works. We can share this stuff quickly, which means we can get our content to that audience. We can test it so we know which version of it works, and we can ignite it, which means we can get it to the people in the places they are and make sure that they enjoy it most. And so, yeah, that's what we do to bring technology and content together to make Hearst an incredibly successful digital tech media company.
We have time for a few questions. Not many. Can I start off with one?
Yes, you can.
You spent shed loads of money on content, sharing content, targeting content, and yet have come to the conclusion that content is free on the web. How do those 2 sit together?
There's a commercial model, but we don't believe right now the commercial model is to get consumers to pay for that content in its form on the web. So that commercial model is to work with partners and advertisers to reach that audience.